Hey everyone. So I want to answer a couple questions that was asked by one of my members. The first one is how to determine a breakout. So for breakouts, the key component to breakouts is always volume on every single time frame. So whether you're on the 5 minute, the 15 minute, or the hourly, um, the volume is what's important. And on top of volume, what's very important is closing above a major level. Um, Whether it's on the hourly, the daily, or whatever it is. So the first stock I'm going to use for an example for how to determine a breakout is Nvidia. So if you look back after earnings, right? Nvidia made this huge bar here, right, with a huge upper wick, huge lower wick. It was just a huge candle representing a potentially large move the next day, right? That's usually what that means. So if you look here, Nvidia had huge volume on the daily, and it closed at almost an all-time high. And what that tells you is that the stock has enough juice to keep going. It doesn't tell you that it's gonna keep going, but it tells you that it has the momentum in order to keep it going. You know, and like when a stock hits a wall, right, and it doesn't have a lot of volume, like right here, right, the volume's down here, well, low, I should say. When it hits a wall and it doesn't have much volume, it's harder to break through. That's not the greatest example. So basically, if you look back to here, right here, it's testing an all-time high. Nvidia is, and if you look here, it has pretty high volume. It's higher than the vast majority of these days here, and so and it hits the all-time high. And the fact that it has high volume and it pushes right into the all-time high here, that tells you that it has enough juice to keep going. So now when you look at the shorter time frames, right, you can see that the volume is very high um, relative to like the past. So if you look here, the volume's extremely high, and what that tells you is that the breakout's got legs. It's got momentum. Can the stock go up here and then come right back down to here? Absolutely. But when it has this type of volume, the chance of it continuing higher is a lot higher than if it doesn't. When a stock breaks out to like on a large move but doesn't have the volume behind it, it's usually gonna fail. But the fact that it has such high volume, right? Like look at all this volume, look how low it is, right? And then look at this volume. This tells you that there's a major breakout in the stock and that it has the ability to go higher. So on Friday, um, the first 15-minute bar was high volume, but if you look here, you can see that all the time that happens where the first 15-minute bar is high volume, right? That happens often. But the uniqueness, the intriguing thing that happened on Friday was that the volume continued to come in, right? And if you look back at days in the past, it didn't have consistent volume like this. And so that's one way to spot a breakout and to see that it's going to keep going. Um, so you want to look at the volume and the volume and the price action, right? Is it going higher? Is the last bar is it opening higher than the last bar and then closing higher than it opened, right? So that's the big thing. And is it holding the 9 EMA? The 9 EMA is very important, right? And the 21 SMA. So when you have a strong breakout, right? One way to look at a breakout too is to see a U-shaped breakout, right? So this stock came down and then it broke back above high of day, and it broke all these moving averages on the 5 minute. That's bullish, and it broke the bullish flag here. So that's breakouts on multiple levels, right? And on top of this one, it's a great breakout. It's like almost perfect because it was at the 9 EMA in the daily. I find it harder to trade when the stock is further from the 9 EMA. Like trading something up here to go higher is harder in my opinion, and a less probable move. Like even here would have been pretty hard to predict that it's gonna go crazy like this, but you got to take your risks. So yeah, when it's closer to the 9 EMA, I like that. I like that the best for breakouts and stuff. But you definitely want to watch that 9 EMA and the 21 SMA to see if it holds. And what's really important with breakouts is that volume, right? The volume here is really important. And then you want to see it close high, you know. Let me go to another stock for an example of breakouts, because breakouts are very important. That's a huge thing that I trade. And so I was trading AMD quite a lot when it was breaking out. So let me go back even more. Can I go? Let's see. So if you look here, after AMD had its earnings, it did a nice U-shaped recovery, and then it broke out to all-time high. Or I believe it was testing the all-time high here. I'm not sure if it actually broke it here. But it tested it on really high volume. And what that tells you is that it has the momentum to continue higher, right? And so looking at volume and just like holding the 9 EMA and 21 SMA, those are the main things to follow when a stock's breaking out. And what you want to see when a stock breaks out is you want to see extremely high volume, for one. That's one of the main points that you want to see. So if you look here at this day where AMD really ripped higher, let's see, 104 to 108, right? If you look here, this first bar had huge volume, and then you had the continuation of high volume as well, and that tells you that it's got a lot of momentum. It's got a lot of buying. It's got a lot of. Everyone's looking at it, and that's important. The only way for a stock to make huge moves is for a lot of people to be involved in it. So the best way to find a breakout and to make sure that you're not getting into a false breakout is to look at volume. Let's see. So the other day, AMC broke out, and it was just an incredible breakout. And if you see here, the volume just kept increasing and increasing. And a breakout on increasing volume just means that it's got a lot of momentum, and it just can keep going and going and going, So volume is just about everything when it comes to a breakout. So let's see. So if you look here at AMC the other day, when it started breaking out of this this cup and handle, right, type of pattern, you see the volume came up quite a lot to, triple or quadruple the volume over here, right? So this volume here is like quadruple the volume from the day before. So that's huge, right? That amount of volume coming in is a huge sign that the stock has momentum. And then you can just watch for the 9 EMA as well. So when this stock broke this 39.66 level on this monstrous volume, that was a huge indication that the stock could continue higher. This was very hard to trade, in my opinion, because it's kind of crazy to think a stock could move this much this quickly. But when the chart gives you, a high volume breakout, you got to go with it. So yeah, it's all about volume. No matter what time frame you're on, it's about volume and closing above the major levels. All right. So if AMD, if AMC came up here and had huge volume, and then it closed the next 5 under here, it's done. Until it re-breaks the high of day, right? Whether it's like right here, or wherever it is, until it breaks that high on increased volume again, it's done, right? So if it comes back under this level and then it goes higher over that major level, the high of day on low volume, it's not really a great setup anymore. It's gone, So like here's a perfect example again of a great breakout. So we have that 170 level, and we have a extremely high volume right here. So we have a breakout on high volume, right? So this day we have high volume on the first 5 minutes, but it's not breaking out. It's not doing anything crazy. Um, and like so that's a big thing as well, is that it needs to be breaking out for the volume to be significant or mean anything. So this thing broke that major level on high volume, and then the high volume continued with another bullish bar. So that is a good sign that it can continue higher, right? And if it broke out like this and then it came back down and closed here, that would mean that it could fail. But as long as it holds this 50 and this 21, if it comes back down, it could it could break out here, come down, and then continue higher. But it needs that high volume in order to continue. So volume is everything, and breaking out above major levels, of course, as well, right? So that's always what you want to look for. So next question I have is the importance of Vwap. So volume weighted moving average is very important, and a lot of people go over it and all that. So the volume weighted moving average is basically just a moving average with volume calculated into the equation. So not only is it taking into account the price, it's taking into account the volume that was traded at certain prices. So let's see. Let's add Vwap. So basically, Vwap is kind of like a Bollinger Band, right? With the way that it has like a middle and then a top and a bottom. But it's not really like a Bollinger Band at the same time because it's, volume weighted. It's not just statistical. And what you're supposed to do with the Vwap is say that, like, if it's above the middle line, then it's bullish. Let's see here. So yeah, Vwap is just something that a lot of people use, and it is it's not something that I use personally. It's really just an indicator that people like, and I think it's no different than the 9 EMA or the 21 SMA or anything like that. I think they're all extremely important, and it's really just preference, And the longer that you use an indicator for, the better equipped you are going to be at using it, because the longer you watch it, the better you are going to be at using it. So yeah, Vwap is just it's just like a moving average, it's just volume weighted. So I mean, if you want to use that instead of moving averages, that's fine. I prefer to use the moving averages. I've used them for years and years and years. So that's what's like. Moving averages are what I understand. And the last question here is how to determine if a stock is overextending. And this question warrants an entirely another video. The majority of this video is about how to determine a breakout, which is what a lot of my trades are based on is breakouts. And then the ending of this video, I talk about the Vwap quite a bit, or not quite a bit, just a little bit, I'd say. But Vwap isn't something that I use in my arsenal. I've looked at it. I understand what it is, but it's just not something that I prefer to use.